All right, let's dive into a really critical topic for anyone building in the cloud today. How do you actually use all its amazing power without getting trapped? We're going to explore exactly how to architect your systems to steer clear of vendor lock-in. Okay, before we get rolling, just a quick but important heads up. This is Module 2 of a 9-part series on avoiding cloud vendor lock-in. Everything here is based on some really thorough research from Virtualization Options LLC. And it's meant to give you general principles. It doesn't come with any warranty, and it's definitely not legal advice. For that, you should always talk to a good lawyer who knows the rules in your area. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with what I call the cloud's hidden trap. Then we'll get a solid definition of vendor lock-in, talk about the real-world business risks, see some examples out in the wild, and wrap up with why this is more important right now than ever before. Look, we all know the public cloud is incredible. The speed, the scale, the features, it's all so convenient. But that convenience, well, it can be a double-edged sword. It can hide a pretty big strategic risk, a kind of trap that can seriously box you in later on. And that really boils down to this one simple question you've got to ask yourself. Is the cloud strategy you're building right now creating freedom for your business? Or are you accidentally building a fortress that you won't be able to escape from later? Just keep that in the back of your mind as we go. So let's get on the same page. What do we actually mean when we throw around the term vendor lock-in? What does it really mean to be stuck with one cloud provider? The official definition is a situation where leaving your vendor becomes so ridiculously expensive, technically complicated, or just plain disruptive to your operations that it's basically not an option. The key thing to get here is that it doesn't happen all at once. Every time you use a cool proprietary service or a vendor-specific API, you're adding one more little brick to that wall. These dependencies end up creating 3 main types of walls, or barriers. You've got your technical barriers. That's the code that's so deeply integrated it would take a massive rewrite to move. Then you've got financial barriers. We're talking about those eye-watering data exit fees. And finally, there are the operational barriers, which is all about your team's specialized knowledge and workflows that just don't translate to another platform. But make no mistake, this is not just a tech problem for the engineers to worry about. Vendor lock-in has very real, very tangible consequences that can ripple through the entire business. Let's break down what those actually look like. First, your ability to negotiate goes right out the window. Your provider knows you're stuck, so hello, price hikes. Second, what happens if they change or even kill a service that your whole application depends on? You're forced to scramble. Third, just getting your data out can be a technical nightmare and unbelievably expensive. And last, if new regulations pop up and you have to move your data, being locked in can make compliance almost impossible. And the difference between these two worlds is just night and day. When you're locked in, you're always on the back foot, always reacting, and your data is basically a hostage. But without lock-in, you are in the driver's seat. You can make vendors compete for your business, you can make smarter architectural choices, and your data is what it should be, a valuable asset that you can move. Okay, that's enough theory. Let's get real. How does this lock-in stuff actually show up in the services we all use every single day from the big cloud providers? Let's look at a few examples. Take AWS Lambda. It's super powerful, but your code gets woven into its specific event triggers and SDKs. Moving it isn't just a copy-paste job, it's a major refactor. Or how about Azure SQL? It has these amazing, unique features like automatic tuning, but guess what? They don't exist anywhere else, so your whole database layer is now tied to Azure. And with Google's BigQuery, its query language is proprietary. That means if you ever want to leave, you're rewriting every single query from the ground up. So you might be thinking, okay, I get it, but why is this such a hot topic right now? Well, it turns out several massive trends are all coming together at once, and they're turning cloud portability from a nice-to-have into an absolute strategic must-have. Yeah, the whole landscape has shifted under our feet. What might have been a small technical issue a few years back has now ballooned into a serious business risk. Just look at the timeline. In 2020, the pandemic forced this mad dash to the cloud, sometimes without a lot of strategic planning. By 2022, the amount of data we piled into the cloud exploded, creating this powerful gravity effect. And now, in 2024, regulators like the FTC are starting to take a hard look at these practices, seeing lock-in as a real problem for market competition. And that rush to the cloud was no joke. Between 2020 and 2021, cloud spending shot up by 37%.
A jump that big, that fast, means a lot of companies built dependencies they're only just now starting to recognize.
Let's talk a bit more about that data gravity idea. It's actually pretty simple. The more data you pour into one location, the heavier it gets. It becomes harder and more expensive to move. It starts to pull your applications and services into its orbit. So the risk of lock-in isn't static. It actually gets worse. It compounds over time. And that brings us full circle, as that invisible but powerful force of data gravity pulls your business deeper and deeper into one provider's orbit. You have to keep asking that question. Did we build for freedom, or are we slowly watching our choices disappear? Thanks for joining me.